Hello everyone! Welcome back to Fan Mail, where I answer your questions, display submissions, and anything else that we might find. I hope you enjoyed Brotherhood War Aftermath as much as I did. I'd like to once again express my appreciation for you guys and your dedication to my Machinimas. We hit some really big numbers recently. Here's a few of them. My channel hit 13,000 subs recently. Each Aftermath part hit 1,000 views within a week of each of them airing. Nice! We hit a record of 74 active viewers during the Aftermath Part 2 stream. Thanks for tuning in. Brotherhood War Part 1 topped 10,000 views. I think that's my first video to do so in under a year. So thanks again, guys. You're the reason why I do this, and I couldn't do it without you. Anyway, let's get on with today's fan mail. Just a few disclaimers before we begin. Not all submitted questions may be answered due to time requirements, and this episode contains spoilers for Brotherhood War and Aftermath. Today's guest star was featured heavily in Brotherhood War Aftermath before she met an untimely fate. Please welcome Carla Hernandez to the floor.
Wow. Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here.
There's quite a few questions for you today, Carla. Ready to get underway?
Let's do it.
Great. Bringing up the fan mail viewer now. First question's actually for you, Carla.
Interesting.
Carla, how does it feel to be dead?
Damn. We're going right into it, huh? Well, actually, it's not that bad compared to the world I left. It's peaceful. I do miss my husband Anthony, of course. But right now, he's a Spartan, and he wouldn't know me anyway. On the plus side, I don't have Spartans or Centurions breathing down my neck all the time, which is a relief. Sure, it sucks that I died, but at least I died standing up for myself, instead of cowering in my room waiting for someone to take me away or kill me. I'm good with it.
Our next question was sent in by Philip Ritzman.
I love your stuff and found out about you through Brotherhood War, and am now currently watching all of your previous Halo Machinimas. I am in my senior year of high school, which means doing a senior project. I'd love to make a Machinima using Halo, but I'm not sure where to start, or what equipment I would need in order to edit and add me and my friends' voices, since they were kind enough to offer themselves as help. My specific questions are listed below. Which Halo game would be best to use since my friends and I are beginners at this? What software would you recommend for editing the footage once I have things acted out? What would the best way be for recording dialogue for the characters? If I have further questions and we continue to talk, would you be comfortable if I considered you my mentor? It wouldn't require anything from you, it just means that you helped me in some capacity during my journey. Thanks, and keep up the amazing work.
I recommend using Halo 3 on the Master Chief Collection to start with. It's very clean and simple, with minimal glitches or problems for machinima creation, and thorough enough creation tools for beginners to start making content without getting lost. All of the armor is unlocked by default on the MCC, and there are plenty of maps to choose from for sets. As for editing, I myself use Adobe Premiere Pro, but it could be complicated for beginner creators, and the monthly subscription to it is very expensive. I'm not sure what would be a good editing kit for a beginner. I myself started with iMovie, but I was dissatisfied with it. That being said, it got me where I needed to go, and it's been 8 years since I last used iMovie. Maybe it's had some updates since then. As for recording dialogue, it's best to have the voice actors record dialogue with their own mics in their own studios, rather than, say, over Xbox Live or something like that. You could have them do it on their own. However, it may be worth it to schedule recording sessions with them, so that they can record dialogue with you listening in, so you can ask for retakes right there and then if you need them, as well as offer input and influence as to exactly what kind of performance you're looking for. And I guess you could consider me your mentor if you want to. I don't think I'd make a very good mentor, but I'm glad I could give you some help on your journey. Good luck, Philip. Our next questions today are from Rememer.
How do you think things would have been if Isaiah gave you the role of Dante, or if you didn't audition for a role at all? Who do you consider loyal to you?
I think Butt Buddies would have been worse off if I'd been Dante. Skull is so much better at being Dante than my audition was. If I'd never auditioned, I'd have missed out on getting to be Harold, which is sad to think about because I really genuinely enjoy playing Harold. Being part of the Butt Buddies cast has also helped me grow a good professional friendship with Isaiah as well, so I would have missed out on that too, and that would suck. As for loyalty, I consider those who regularly show up for body acting, attend the episode streams, leave comments, and stuff like that to be loyal. I'm very lucky there's so many of you. Thanks for your continued dedication. It helps more than you think. Bobby Bonifazi has several questions today.
Hi, Chronicler. It's Bobby Bonifazi. I hope you and your family are doing well during this very difficult time. I know with this year coming to an end, you have a lot to figure out, especially with your projects. I have some questions on the Spartan Legacy if you can answer. 1. Are there any more plans to continue after the Brotherhood War aftermath by extending to more characters and storylines? 2. Is there a chance you can do a backstory series for characters in the Spartan Legacy More for Phoenix team? 3. Also regarding the fate of the Spartan 5 Scott and Fire Team Corsair, how will Zack, Guardian, Logan, and Denver stop the Lifebringer? And what will happen to Scott and the others? Will Zack have to make the toughest choice and lose faith in the UNSC? 4. And the last question, when I was watching episode 5 of Brotherhood War, I noticed you did a little Revenge of the Sith spinoff. Is there a reason why? And to be honest, you did it perfectly. Also, give a message to the Lifebringer, to quote Leonard Church from Red vs. Blue, director of Project Freelancer. Dear Lifebringer, I really hope you are enjoying your moment of cowardly victory because, to be honest, there is no way you will win. You created the Spartan 5 program because you know you can't take on humanity. Be very careful. I hate to see what Zack and Denver do to retaliate, and don't ever try to make Sergeant Scott your puppet. It does end well. Sincerely, Bobby Bonifazi.
Thanks, Bobby. The Spartan Legacy has 2 more installments coming after Aftermath, one of which is the now-announced Hyborian. I don't plan on doing any backstories for the other members of Phoenix team, primarily because the voice actors for Tanner, Michael, and Brett are out of contact. I can't really talk about what will happen to Zack, Denver, and the others for obvious spoilery reasons. You'll just have to watch Hyborian. And yes, the ending of Brotherhood War was directly inspired by Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, so much so that it is commonly referred to as the Order 66 scene among the cast, crew, and fans. I first saw the sequence play out in my head several years ago while listening to the track Immaterial from Halo 4. The sequence definitely borrows a bit, but I think it was pretty good and different enough to not be a complete ripoff. Our next question comes from Shadow Wolf. Hey Chronicler, I have 2 questions for you. First question, do you ever plan doing a epilogue for Bicron like where Connor and Anna are now? If not, then could you or Anna tell us? Second question is an AU question. You don't have to answer this one if you don't want. What would happen if Saul survived the events of Omega Halo instead of Catherine? And what would his reaction to Phoenix Squad, or would he even be in Reach the Last War? Thank you for all your hard work, man. I do hope life is treating you well, and I hope you and your family are staying safe and have an awesome day. Appreciate it, Shadow Wolf. I don't have any plans to make any more Bikeron content. However, that doesn't necessarily mean we won't see Connor again. Also, regarding your second question, during the Brotherhood War creators livestream, Mega Productions and I revealed we've been considering a what-if style of series for the Spartan Legacy called Splintered Legacy. Saul getting off of Omega Halo instead of Catherine is actually one of the proposed ideas for this series, but whether or not Splintered Legacy gets made kinda depends on how Infinite turns out. OddKnight712 has some questions for us.
Hey Chronicler, how are you doing? I have a random question for you, and of course, Carla Hernandez for Chronicler. If you were in the Avatar The Last Airbender / Legend of Korra universe, what element or nationality would you be? Carla, before the whole Lifebringer took over the UNSC, what was your life before with Anthony?
I'd be an Earthbender. That shit's rad.
Before the Lifebringer came along, Anthony and I lived together in Seattle. Not in the rundown building you saw us in, but in an apartment closer to the center of the city. I was a manager at a retail warehouse, and Anthony worked at a call center for a phone company. It wasn't much, but we made rent each month.
Now we have some fan art from that clumsy guy. Aw, that's cute. Poor Zack doesn't know what to do with himself. I wish I could do something like that in the actual Machinima. That's Machinima's greatest drawback, not being able to have closer character interactions like this. God, if I could just get a hugging animation. Anyway, on to our next fan mail. It was sent by Sloppier Manx.
Non-joke question for Kron. Have you ever considered other games, aside from Fallout and Halo, for a Machinima series? If so, do you know what the Machinima would have been about? Do the Fallout home videos have their own lore that strings them together, or is it sort of a let's fuck around in 76, see what happens and record it type of show? For guest, what was the best/most enjoyable experience in your story so far, or if it hasn't concluded, overall?
I've had ideas for an Elite Dangerous machinima knocking around in my head for a few years now, and with on-foot gameplay coming next year, those ideas are getting pushed further into the realm of possibility. But I'll have to see exactly everything that the Odyssey expansion brings to the table next year. And like I said last episode, I once considered making a World of Warcraft machinima, but that didn't pan out. Oh, hey, remember that time I tried making an AVP machinima? The Fallout home videos are basically just me documenting my group and I doing stuff in 76, because I want to remember it and be able to look back on it years from now. Fallout 76 has genuinely given me some of my favorite gaming experiences, so I figure recording some of it is a good idea. There isn't really an overarching story, it's just me having fun with friends. The home videos don't get very many views or comments, but that's okay, because they're mostly just for me, though I'm happy that others are enjoying them as well.
I'm pretty sure my story was concluded, Sloppy. And I can't say any of it was very enjoyable. At least any of the stuff you guys saw. The best part was probably dying. Wow, that is really sad to say out loud.
Well, here's a better question for you, Carla. It's from Bad Films Pro.
So, Carla, what was life like before the Reformist and the Lifebringer, and would you mind telling any jokes?
Life on Earth for me and Anthony was probably a lot like what you guys are experiencing now, though I hear you're right smack in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. I remember reading about that one. That sucks. Best of luck. Anyway, we'd wake up, go to work, do our shifts, come home, watch TV or something. On days off, we'd maybe go out to eat or go to the park, do something fun. It was fairly standard, but we had each other, and we loved it. And, you want a joke? Okay. Oh, here's one. It's dumb, but Anthony loved annoying me with it. What do sprinters eat before a race? Nothing. They fast.
What? I thought it was funny.
Wasn't that funny?
Yeah, maybe. Let's do another question. Here's one from Cannon Bolt 66.
Dear Chronicler, I remember the Lifebringer saying the mind control chip cannot be overridden by the Spartan's true mind. Silva kept on begging to be let go, but she strode a strong will to break free. Then the Lifebringer said, not enough to break free. Could this imply that with enough will, the Spartan's true consciousness could break free of the mind control chip?
The Lifebringer is a very talented geneticist and was very thorough with the Spartan 5's engineering. The fact that no Spartan, not even Silva, has managed to break it is a testament to her work. If there is a possibility of anyone breaking free from it, they'd have to be even stronger than anything Silva demonstrated in Aftermath. And with the Lifebringer's imprint frequently suppressing their consciousness, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I know Anthony's trying to break free. He might not be able to, but I know he's trying his damnedest.
Cannon Bolt also has some fan art for us. Very nice, Cannon. That looks really cool. Thanks for the submission. Here's a little question from Perseus. All in all, about 6 months. Which, considering the lack of huge action scenes and the relative shortness of each part, isn't surprising, but I'm still pleased I pulled it off so quickly. Being able to record footage in-game without theater mode was a big help, and definitely sped things along. Got a couple of questions from Lunar Wolf.
For Carla, how did you first meet Anthony, and were y'all awkward towards each other? And who asked who? Fuck, I fucked that up. And were y'all awkward towards each other? And who asked who out first? For Chronicler, are you proud of all the work you do? And what was your proudest achievement you achieved?
Anthony and I met at a bar we both lived nearby. Oh, he was so bashful at first, but he plucked up the courage to ask me out. And our first date led to a second, and a third. The more time we spent together, the more his brave side came out. And a few years later, he proposed to me. We'd been married 6 years when the Lifebringer happened. I miss him a lot, Lunar Wolf. He was the light of my life, and he always said I was the light of his. But I know I'll see him again someday. This chronicler guy promised I would.
You have my word on that, Carla. As for my question, I am absolutely proud of my work, even some of my older stuff like the Reach trilogy, despite the fact that I trash talk it so much. My proudest achievement is Brotherhood War. Putting together that large a project in a game with so many issues is definitely worth an award of some sort, I'd say. As far as I know, I'm the first content creator besides Rooster Teeth to do it with Halo 5. One small question from Balecore here.
How do you come up with the names for your projects?
Obviously, some of the names are simple and based off a character or location featured heavily in the project, such as Bikeron, Omega Halo, and Lifebringer. Others originate from a theme in the project. Spartan's Generation is about the generation of the Spartan Legacy as a whole, as well as telling the story of the first generation of new Spartans. Brotherhood War is called Brotherhood War because it's about a civil war between humans, as well as largely showcasing the conflict between Zack and Garrett, who were once as close as brothers. None of these are terribly nuanced, but I think they work well. Master Pretzel has some questions for us.
For Kron, do you ever feel nervous when you first post up a Machinima? For Carla, how old were you during Human Covenant War? Where did you live? On Earth or one of colonies? Did you ever hear about these stories of the original Spartans?
You know, I don't really feel nervous anymore. I'm quite confident in my abilities these days, and I know I'm making content you guys will enjoy. That's a good feeling.
The first war ended about 40 years before I died. I wasn't even alive back then. Everyone learned about the Human Covenant War in school, though. I'm glad I didn't have to live through it. I lived on Earth my whole life, but I never really wanted to leave. Everywhere else I heard about didn't seem that great, as most of the more famous colonies are still recovering from being glassed. We all heard the stories of the original Spartans, like the Master Chief. They were the stuff of legends. I never knew exactly which stories were real and which were exaggerated fantasy, but they were all incredible. I was excited when I heard a new generation of Spartans were being made. Oh, if I only knew.
Range Dust has a little question for us.
Hey, Kron, what type of music do you listen to?
I primarily listen to soundtracks from movies and games, but if we're talking about what other people call, quote, actual music, unquote, I'm not really restricted to one genre. I just listen to songs that I like. 1 minute I'll be listening to Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song, and the next it'll be Mariah Carey's Fantasy. I listen to all sorts of songs. Nick Halo submitted a question.
Hey Chronicler, what were the Centurions based off of?
The Centurions are a mix of battle droids from Star Wars and Civil Protection from Half-Life 2. Their name, Centurion, comes from Battlestar Galactica's Centurions, robot troops used en masse by the Cylons. Spartan Legacy Centurions are robotic and basically controlled from a central system, Oversight, like battle droids were in Phantom Menace, and they occupy the civilian sectors in Lifebringer-held cities, similar to CPs, patrolling the streets and managing supply distribution. They speak in a straightforward and emotionless manner similar to the Phantom Menace battle droids, but have rough, raspy voices like the City 17 Metro Cops do. We've got even more fan art today. Ren Vao sent a whole bunch of illustrations in, here's a few of them. Nice work, Ren. My favorite is the one of Zack, Denver, and Guardian. Beep, beep, we have a submission from Votive Pylon. I don't know what that was about. Hey, Kron, I have 3 questions, one for Carla. What was your reaction to the outbreak of the war between the UNSC and the Reformation? For Kron, is there other UNSC groups or ships that are still there and didn't get taken by the Spartans? And did the Infinity-class supercarrier succeed in this timeline? I know there's the Infinity, but what about her stepsister ship, the Eternity? And if so, are they any more out there? Thanks for reading.
The start of the Reformation War was scary and shocking. It came out of nowhere. Suddenly, there was this huge ship above our homes, blasting the city below it. There was a huge panic, and the streets were filled with scared people. I remember the plasma explosions lighting up the night sky. Anthony and I were evacuated along with everyone else living in the city, but luckily the battle was over in less than a day, and our apartment building wasn't damaged in the attack. After that, the only way you'd know a war was going on was if you watched TV or saw all the Pelicans coming in and out of Spartan Command.
Yes, there's plenty of UNSC groups outside of Earth still alive, but they can't do anything while the Lifebringer holds the civilians hostage. And I can't really talk about Infinity right now, but I will say it's the only one of its kind. The Second War really set back the UNSC and drained a lot of resources so that the supercarriers didn't get completed in this timeline. Here's a question from Comet9.
Hey, Chronicler, just thought I'd get this out. Do you believe that the Spartan Legacy would be better if it was done in animation, or do you prefer using the Halo game assets?
Overall, definitely better in-game. Animation would allow for more specialized character animations, as well as some interesting possibilities for action sequences, but it's also much more time-consuming, complicated, and ludicrously expensive. I'd also be restricted to whatever Halo models that have been ported to SFM or Blender, and that could be limiting. I'm happy using the standard game engines. Guardian Bravo has a few questions today.
Dear Kron, I wanted to thank you for all your inspiring machinimas and the hard work you obviously put into each one. I just wanted to say that your machinimas have inspired me, especially your Lifebringer series. Now then, my question. Kron, do you think you can at the very least estimate when Hypotheticals will be done and ready? Carla, how does it feel to know you died as an underdog fighting against the evil that is rampant during this time?
Optimistically, I want to say that Hypotheticals will be done by the end of 2021, but it's still very early in production and all sorts of setbacks can occur, so don't quote me on that.
I stood up for my freedom, and that's what matters. I almost didn't. At first, I wanted to stay in my room and keep my head down. I might still be alive if I did that, but that would be a terrible way to live. I promised Anthony I'd never give up. I couldn't go back on my last promise to him. I'm proud of how I died. Suck it, Lifebringer!
Major Winners sent in a submission for this episode. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I've got a question for each of you. Carla, what were the immediate reactions to the Lifebringer taking over, i.e. first week, month, etc.? Chronicler, what do you hope to see from Infinite's Forge mode? Thanks for answering, and I hope you both have a splendid day!
When the Lifebringer appeared on all our TVs, reciting that speech about taking over and the UNSC being dead, at first we thought it was some kind of prank. We didn't really know what was going on. Then the Spartans started showing up. One barged into our apartment and made us walk outside at gunpoint. They put us on our knees and lined us up in the street. I was really scared. I thought they were going to shoot us. One of the people living in our building tried to talk back to them, and then she tried to run. The Spartans killed her without even hesitating. It was all very confusing and frightening. No one really had any idea what was going on. They held us in a military compound for a few days, and then they started herding people into the residential sectors, leaving the Centurions in charge. Anthony and I got shoved into that rundown building in the old city, along with a bunch of other people. We didn't have any of our belongings. We didn't know where any of our family members were. For about a month, we privately talked about how we were going to escape when the Centurions weren't listening. Some people actually tried it. None of them made it out. One day, we'd wake up and one of the rooms would be empty. Later, the Centurions would bring someone new in. Then one day, they brought in Tom. Anthony knew him from college. Tom had been living in Tacoma before everything went down, but the Spartans relocated him and a bunch of other folks to Seattle to fill some of the empty space. Tom told us of the things that he'd seen in Tacoma. Spartans dragging people out of their buildings, no one ever hearing from him again. Conscription, they called it. That's what scared me the most. By the end of the second month, no one was trying to escape anymore. We just wanted to stay alive and hope we didn't get dragged off. Well, you know the rest.
I don't want to talk about Infinite Winners. I've had a lot of questions about it, but I don't really have anything good to say. Here's a question from Simon.
Dear Carla, did you and Anthony have any plans on starting a family?
We talked about it. Anthony always wanted kids. I wasn't so sure about it, but if there was ever someone I could have children with, it was him. But we could never afford it with our jobs, and I'm glad we never had one, honestly. I saw some kids get separated from their families when the Spartans rounded everyone up. I couldn't imagine having to go through that. And I wouldn't wish for any child to have to live in the world the Lifebringer has created.
Our last question today is from Echo. Chronicler, sorry if you have already been asked this, but if you have, then you can skip this. What are your thoughts about Halo Infinite? What do you think about Infinite?
What do you think about Infinite?
Does Infinite look good to you?
Do you like
What
Infinite?
do you think Infinite's going to bring to the table? How did you like the July gameplay reveal? What do you expect? It's going to make a lot of money. What do you think about Halo Infinite? I think it's going to make a lot of money. I think you're going to be able to play Machinima with it. I think I'm going to make Machinimas on Halo. You're going to make Machinimas on Halo. Fine. You all want to know what I think about Infinite? I'll tell you what I think about Infinite.
Oh boy.
I think Infinite's gonna be a half-assed, anti-consumer, bullshit-ridden, free-to-play garbage piece of shit. Absolutely everything we've seen about it has gone horribly wrong. From that shitty July gameplay reveal to the fucking armor coatings. Do you have any idea how much armor coatings alone have been stressing me out? We can't pick our colors anymore, all in the name of fucking squeezing the player base out of every cent possible. It's free to play and it's got a fucking 10-year plan? You fucking know it won't be complete at launch. How many years am I gonna have to wait for the game to be used?
Whoa, man, calm down.
It won't even work. I bet half the features in it are buggy as hell. I bet it won't even have theater mode.
All of my plans hinge on this fucking game, and everything they showed us just tells me it's gonna be better.
Dude, seriously, chill.
Story at this point, the best I can hope for is a decent suite of multiplayer features, and they've already cut armor color customization. I'm gonna